Yeah.
Okay, welcome to another Miracle Monday where Mom and I come together to have conversations that we have all the time. But on Mondays, we record them in the hopes that they will inspire somebody who is listening. And today, you see another beautiful face in the room. So, Angie is one of my dearest friends on the planet and also actually worked with Mom and I. So I thought while she's here visiting from Saskatchewan, I couldn't leave her out of this conversation. And we're talking about miracles, and I think our time together with Angie and I mean, there's a million things we can talk about, and I think we just start a conversation like normal. But what I was thinking with her being here is that the work that we did together, um, really is another example of what a miracle is that we can I don't know what the word is. I don't even know what to say. We can transform our life. We can shift. We can find purpose again. We can let go of pain, like all of the things. And she's like an incredibly beautiful example. And you can share as much or as little as you want. So I'm not going to put you on the spot for any of that. But I just think it's a beautiful conversation to have. And
Mhm.
also, not that we need to have this whole conversation, but I've had people listen to us and say, like, you talk about clearing all the time because we just kind of skirt past it in our conversations, like of how we live our life. And so, maybe Angie has a different way to, share her experience, but I do think mostly it's like the miracle of what um, how you
Move
shift.
through,
Yeah, yeah,
move through, like truly incredible, just incredible
yeah.
from when we first met to, when you flew out of here.
Yeah.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And so I don't know if all of what I just shared triggers anything in you or Mom, if it triggers anything in you of like what we might be able to share, remembering that our intention is, I always say there's three people listening, it's not like we have crowds of people listening, but it is helpful to hear, other people's sort of thoughts or experiences because the truth is everybody has their own thing. Like
Mhm.
we talk about your challenge with your health. We talk about, we don't talk in detail, but my challenges of what I'm facing right now. And we know that everyone faces challenges at different times. That just is what life is. Um, and so I don't know. I don't know what kind of beautiful conversation we want to have, the three of us.
Well, one thing that you prompted, like the thought for me, is that we all have problems, like, and they're different and they affect us differently, but major, oh my gosh, I just can't believe all the things that people are faced with. I think one thing that we're blessed with is that we, and we've probably said it in a zillion different ways, but that it's one thing to know you have it and accept that there's a problem, but we never look for why do I have this? Why is this happening to me? And look at the problem. We automatically go to, so how can I feel better? What can I do? Like truly knowing there's possibilities for us to live our life differently. I may not know it in this moment as I'm, going through the deepest of my challenges, but to know that there's possibility, there's something outside of this, but always focusing on, and solution sounds very technical, but I'm going to use the word anyways. It's like a solution. How do I move myself out of this place? Is it with another person? Is it introspection? Is it, like how do I, but the big thing is that we acknowledge the possibility that we can move through this somehow. We might not know how in that moment, but that we can somehow move through this. And I think that's where, I probably have said it so many times that I'm so grateful for the people that taught me.
Yeah.
That's what was, I was brainwashed truly into believing that things can change, that, there are different possibilities and opportunities. And so I'm grateful for that. And hopefully we can, pass that on to other people. But I think that's a big thing. I think it's a really big, big thing.
And I think that's kind of a unique thing about the two, well, maybe not unique, but it's a special thing about the two of you and how you approach life. You know, not everybody has the ability to get to that place or to come from that perspective. Like I know in my work, my daytime job as a psychologist, a lot of people that I work with tend to be maybe more focused on the problem, focused on being maybe more stuck in it and the why of it versus how you two approach life.
Mhm. And then our clients, like even the fact that you came as a client, like you are a dear friend, you came as a client, like as a paying client who wanted something to be different. When people come to us, one of the many probably common threads among our clients is that they have a deep desire to feel different, a deep desire to be happy, a deep desire to not walk around with the pain forever. Like there's something inside of every client that we have that doesn't just accept that this is the way I'm going to feel for the rest of my life. And that's unique, I think, too. Like what you experienced, many people, rightfully so, would walk their life carrying that and feel like they maybe needed to hold on to that in order to honor or all of the different, I don't want to go into all of the different things, but I think that there's, you had something in you that said there has to be a different way.
Mhm.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, it wasn't honoring of my experience to keep being stuck in it.
Yeah.
In that way.
Yeah.
I needed to do something different. I needed to shift the way that I was living and feeling and experiencing. And I'm so grateful to the two of you to help facilitate that experience.
And we were honored, like we're always honored and grateful that people will come to us for help because we love seeing that shift. And I think that's another thing that's really important. It's not like this is a magic wand or something. And we only work with people, honestly, that want that. Like we don't ever try to convince somebody that we have a magic wand. It's like we're drawn. There's something that, will call to people, and we will only work with people that believe they can change. They don't have to know how, because that's what we're here for. But something inside of them has to believe that change is possible and it's possible for them.
Well, because if somebody wanted to hold on to it, absolutely they can, because we're all
Yes.
in charge of our own, you did the work.
Yes.
We, and mostly mom, but we were sort of the guide, but you did the work.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I was flying out to see you both for that weekend, I had no real expectation. I had no understanding of what I was kind of getting into. I had fairly limited knowledge of NLP and clear, like virtually no knowledge of clearing. But I was open and hopeful and trusting
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think there's anything you can share? And I know this is like putting you on the spot, so if you can't, it's fine, like honestly. But if you were to just summarize, like sort of how you felt before you worked with us, like what your life was like, in comparison to what shifted and how that's impacted how you live your life now, or how you feel in your life, or how you experience your life now. Is there a simplified version of that at all? No?
That's a small question.
And I was going to say one other piece of that is how you took action different, like right afterwards. You were amazing. You
Yeah.
took different action. So it's not just all this, it literally changes what you do in the world. So that was I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just recalling your question. I mean, I walked in to that weekend with the two of you. I think that was 23 when we did that, 2023.
Okay. I
Um,
don't remember.
I had done, a lot of work up until then, seeing my own counselors and trying to make sense and heal from my experience of having lost my daughter. And I had been doing a lot of kind of wandering, feeling lost, a bit aimless, purposeless, we could say. Though I had a full life, I had the kind of life that I heard many times from people, oh, I wish I had your life, you know. Um, Lots of travel, successful real estate investing
Psychologist.
portfolio, and that's how we met. But there was this emptiness after having lost Ellie and many, many losses after that. And for many people, it's looking for that legacy experience, that meaning, purpose. And because I wasn't able to have living children of my own, that felt like a real big hole for me. And I wasn't experiencing meaning in my work as I had anticipated. So I had been working really hard to be as accepting and content with my life as it was, having made the decision that we weren't going to go down other paths of parenthood. But there was this emptiness for me. And out of this weekend, working with the two of you, that was the biggest shift, is feeling a greater sense of purpose and meaning in my life and having clarity for how that was going to come. And that came through more detailed conversations, like in the hours, days, weeks following that.
Yeah. And I think the reason that you were able to have that outcome is because of the clearing work that we did, that you did, but that we did, that like opened up space
Totally.
to be able to think in a different way. Because prior to that, there's just no way you could have come up with that same kind of beautiful outcome.
And I'm not even sure if it was a cognitive, like
No.
think in a different way.
No.
It was definitely more like, it was bigger than that. It was more of an internal, like, feeling shift. I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
So, and
Which is
that's
why it's so beautiful. Like that's the difference. And that's the thing that's so challenging to explain because it's not trying hard. You don't have to go home and try hard to think different. Something shifts with that, and we call it the clearing, but releasing those emotions. But again, because we're not working at the logical, conscious, talking level. We are working at the deeper unconscious level because all of the concerns and emotions are unconscious. You don't even, and the beliefs, you don't even know what's causing you to stay wherever you are or to feel. We think we do because of the external thing, but we don't know what we've embodied. And that's our job is to, and again, I don't want to make it sound like it's, it's so simple. It's so simple that it might be a challenge for people to accept,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, and super hard to articulate, put into words.
Yes.
Like it's not, some people who are listening to this that might be familiar with the psychological world might jump to this is like somatic, but it's not about the cognitive, it's not about the somatic experience. It's so much deeper. And I feel like if I recall correctly, one or both of you may have used language like at a cellular level. Like it's just so deep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yet, is there anything you could, so in the lens of like people being like, what do they keep talking about this clearing? And I know you can't describe it from like a technical perspective, but what was the experience like to you? If somebody were to say to you, what was clearing like? How would you describe it? You don't know?
I don't know how to put it into words.
So you walked in feeling one way and you walked out feeling another way.
Yeah.
Without trying, you just naturally walked out a different person.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm trying not to I have kind of an analogy that I can use, but I don't want to get into that. I don't want to bring that aspect in. There just was this real shift. Like the picture that came to mind as you asked that question, it was almost like jumping off a cliff but having a parachute. So I wasn't just free falling. It wasn't that scary, but there was just this faith and trust that though I was doing something big in the moment, like in the clearing aspect, that it was going to be okay, that that chute would open and I would land.
And I guess again, too, to let people know how easy it is. Like you don't have to do anything. You just sit
At
there
the
and
chair. Yeah.
That's right.
you know, I think that's important to know you don't have to work hard. You don't have to do anything. That's our job to help you release that using a process that we know works. But it was easy, comfortable, and simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm thinking, I mean, if I were to simplify it and try to explain it, which I never have really done, but it's like literally the client, the you, but the client is sitting in a chair with their eyes closed, in a relaxed state that mom guides you to. So you're nice and relaxed, comfy in a chair, just, you know, relaxing, listening to the sound of mom's voice as mom guides you through a process that helps you release it at a cellular level. And it's not going into the problem, it's not talking about the problem, there's no talking that's happening. There's no like having to revisit. Actually, we do, and mom does everything she can to keep you out of, experiencing any of the pain so that you can release the hold that it has on you at a cellular level and kind of gather the learnings from it without and letting go of the rest that's been holding anyone back. Um,
Yeah, like the cliff jumping would have been more how I felt about sort of the whole experience, the letting go, the
Yeah.
trusting, right?
Yeah.
But the actual clearing, it was super comfortable. And you had some different sensory things for me to connect to, like smell and, that would be comforting and soothing. And that I could have that association with even after our weekend together.
Anchoring. Yeah.
Anchoring.
Yeah. Yeah. So that the experience and the feeling that you had with us, you could take with you, because that's again how the brain works and how that mind body connection is. So, so it's such a gentle, like somebody can have not that somebody has to come work with us. I guess we all have things. Again, that's where we kind of started. It's like we all have things. Some are bigger than others. Yours, to me is like a really big one, one of the biggest that somebody could face, I feel like. And yet I'm going to say even you, but like even you with a challenge of that magnitude, which is not sort of the norm of every person walking the planet, was able to come into the office, literally be nurtured, sit, be held, be comfortable, gently, lovingly release the pain and find new purpose that, we're 3+ years later. And, and it all, Andrew has said to me, like, what a shift from when you worked with us.
We sometimes refer to like pre-clearing or pre that weekend, post that weekend, because there was an observable shift, not just that I could experience, but that the people around me, Andrew in particular, witnessed as well.
Because lucky for you, you get to keep living life where there are things like Mother's Day and all of these different things where historically those days, held, and not to say that you fly through them, without any kind of thought, but
they were previously debilitating and incredibly painful. And now I have a different experience most years with them.
Yeah. Which is, so because we're together, do you want to share what your new purpose is?
Okay.
I mean,
I don't even know where to start.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's just because it's inspiring, it's beautiful, and
Yeah.
as it unfolds, because it's like there's no big grand, you've done this big thing, but like it is going to unfold over the span of your lifetime, and people can be inspired by that and maybe even one day want to participate in it. With sort of the random acts of kindness and the donating blood and all that. So can you share?
So what would have been Ellie's first birthday, we had heard of like this random act of kindness kind of thing. So we had printed cards, we had asked, you know, friends, people put it on social media because a lot of people had heard about her story and were kind of following along. So we'd asked people to perform random acts of kindness in her honor, in her memory, right around the time of her birthday. So November 4th, 2010 is when she was born. And it was always really important. So year after year after year, that's what we would request of people. Please do something in honor of Ellie. And I knew that was an important part of her story. I knew that was important for me, but it just didn't feel big enough. It didn't feel like meaningful and enough. And that's not quite what I mean. But at the end of our weekend together, Mama Lynn, you weren't there, unfortunately, for this part, but Mel and I were, you know, processing and talking. And I remember the area that we were at with the mountains and the lake. And
We were at Pitt Lake walking along the dike.
yeah.
Mm.
And sitting on the bench, and there was this aha moment. And it has now become known as the Ellie Movement, where I would love to spread the word even further.
You are.
We're starting to do that, spreading the word, where this random acts of kindness idea is just growing and evolving. And that's what is not only Ellie's legacy, but I hope to be mine as well someday, and be a big part of my meaning and purpose in life is to do that. Yeah.
And how does it feel?
I mean, I feel like that's a big part of our story of what I'm meant to be doing.
Like, how beautiful is that?
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
to have a purpose or think your life is going to go in one way. And I mean, again, everybody, you know, so many people are going to have this story in a different way. It's like
Different version.
that's right. We think our life is going in one way, and we think that this is our path and our purpose and our everything. And then life has different plans, and it gets ripped away in one way or another from one cause or another. And then, you know, and then some people, unfortunately, will live the rest of their lives sort of in
pain.
which, again, it's
Mhm.
not to minimize it, like it's not to minimize it at all. But thankfully we know that there's a different way. And thankfully people like you put your trust in us to, you know, and yeah, it's just so beautiful.
And I knew that I didn't want to and couldn't stay stuck in that pain. And like, that could not be my story. That could not be Ellie's story.
Mhm. Yeah. You just have to find out how do you get out of it.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've
Which is,
never really, oh, go ahead. Go
well,
on.
one thing, sorry, honey, you go ahead. I was,
No,
well,
no.
the only thing I wanted to say is that I also want to say that we don't have to have a huge thing
That's right.
in order to do this work. So
Yeah.
most of the people, or many of the people that we work with, just life has thrown a curveball, or they're not where they want to be and they don't quite know how to get out of it. And they don't realize they have beliefs that are limiting them, where what they want to do, they think is impossible, and the person down the street is doing it. So it isn't impossible. It's just that within themselves. So I think it's important too, to know you don't have to be falling apart to
Well,
do
and
this
Angie
work and
wasn't.
to,
Yeah. So I'm just
go
going
ahead.
to say Angie wasn't falling, like Angie
No, no,
wasn't
no.
falling apart, but yes.
But what you experienced was, I mean, in my opinion, like so huge.
Yeah.
And just to let people know that, yes, we can help people that have something that's,
Unimaginable.
yes. And also just people that are stuck and, just don't know what's going on inside, or they have emotions that, they don't realize they can actually get rid of them. Never mind stuffing them down, never mind working with them, that they literally can
Yeah.
release them. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to share that because it's on all levels,
Yeah.
that we work with people.
And it's not helpful to compare our experience with somebody else's. Like, my hardest day is my hardest day. Your hardest day is your hardest day.
Yeah.
And it's all true and can be honored and
That's right.
relevant. We don't have to compare,
That's right.
the varying degrees of hard.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah,
We also just have to, in our heart, have to know that it's possible to feel different. And I'm
yeah,
going to figure out how, or I'm going to, and that's that moving towards where you want to be versus re-looking at. And I was thinking as you were talking as well, I don't want this to be so much about our stuff, which is what we had said, but I
I
was
know.
thinking that that I mean, literally, we can do that work without even knowing what your problem is.
Yeah,
Yeah, you didn't ask me to go into any kind of detail. You
No,
didn't, like Mel obviously knew my whole story inside and out,
yeah,
basically.
as a
But
friend, yes.
as a friend, yeah. But that was the first time you and I had met
Yeah,
in person. And
yeah.
Mel may have shared aspects of my story, but you didn't have me go into detail and
yeah,
dredge up, and I didn't have to do any of that
Yeah.
that
And
weekend.
that's, I think, important for people who don't want to do that. You don't, in our model of the world, you don't have to in order to be able to heal. You just don't have to.
Yeah. So
So,
that's one of the things that made it probably easier, gentler,
hmm,
maybe even for some people safer feeling.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's, for people who don't have, like a big thing, but just kind of they're not experiencing their life the way they want to. It's just not feeling right. Or, obviously my brain goes to midlife women who have kind of had, and this can happen. We have a whole bunch of them. You and I have talked about it, Mom. Like it's like, somebody's going to have that. Maddie's going through it now, where like her friends were partying and she's moving into a new chapter and now she's got to define and meet new people and, for that. And then there's when you become a mom, and then there's, like your career, and then there's, you know, midlife where all of a sudden, I don't know, we have this new desire to pay attention to ourselves, and then you have it. Like my point is there's a whole bunch of different times in life where we're kind of like, it's a turning point. We're redefining, we have the opportunity to, if we choose to, redefine our purpose, redefine who we are, get more connected with who we are now and what it is that we want. And a lot of women in our age, and I'm older than you though, in my
Barely.
stage, are trying to figure out like what is their purpose in this next chapter of life. And you're trying to figure that out, Mom. Like, what is your purpose in this next chapter of life?
mhm.
And so that's like the perfect person for this too, because it's like getting rid of, any of the stuff that might be limiting, clearing up space to be able to see, to be able to dream in a different way, to find that new purpose. What do I love? What would be fun to do? I was having a conversation with a dear friend who is going to listen to this because she's like, one of the only people I know who listens to this all the time. You know who you are. Um,
And now I do too.
And I
and
bet I do too.
and and again it's like this is she's at a stage where it's like children are grown, and she's on her own, and like what would bring her joy and light her up in this next chapter? It's like her life is beautiful, and there's just something that's not feeling quite right, and figuring out where to go from here, kind of thing, from a purpose perspective. Like what drives you to get up in the morning every day and keep doing this thing called life, right? So anyways, I'm going to circle it back to, because I think we've probably done, gone over our time. But miracles can look different. Miracles do look different. There's like big miracles. My cup today is I believe in miracles,
Aw.
just by fluke, actually. But
You think it's by
yeah.
fluke.
Well, I drink out of it like almost every day, actually, to remind myself that I believe in miracles. I believe in miracles.
My coffee mug tells me so.
Talk about brainwashing.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, anyways, miracles happen in all different forms, in all different ways. All of us here believe in miracles, and I truly, the reason I wanted to have this conversation while you were here is because I do believe it's another example, and I think of miracles, like the way you internally have like so subtly but massively shifted that impacts like kind of every moment of your life. It's a miracle.
It is.
It
Yeah.
really is. Because I had done a lot of work leading up to, like you said, my life wasn't falling apart. I'd been doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And had designed a life that by exterior, external standards, looked wonderful and great. But it was the shift in this weekend that really transformed it for me. My life doesn't look a lot different today than it did before I walked into that weekend. But boy, does it feel different.
Yeah.
Love.
Woohoo. Yeah.
And I
You
think
think we'd get tired of all of this, but it's like, oh.
Yeah.
That's why you do what you do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can't stop. That's the thing. I should stop, I mean, supposedly in the world, it's time for me
That's
to, but I can't. I love it. I just love doing it so much. So,
And you're
yeah.
so good at it, and you have so much wisdom and experience to share. It's just such a rare gift
Yeah.
Thank you.
that
Thank
you
you.
That's
have.
Thank you.
That
that's
you both
why.
have.
Well, no, but I mean, this is Mom is amazing. That's why I want to be having these conversations, because who you are and what you offer this world is a true gift. And I'm
Special.
blessed to have you as my mommy.
Well, I want to say a whole lot of things back, but I'll just say thank you.
Good.
How about that?
Good. Okay. Well, thank you for this conversation, both of you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. We'll see you next Monday. Love
Yeah.
you.
Love you.
I love you too.
Bye.